I don't know where he's finding this power and this speed, but he stands up and he's like, nope, I'm going to stand on that podium. And he finds this gap. Oh! Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Very excited to talk about this race. This is a special one. This is the 2021 Elite Amateur National Road Race Championship. We're out here in Central Florida. So the course is pancake flat. You can see the map in the bottom right-hand corner. It's around this military training facility. We did laps around this course totaling about 110 miles, so totally flat. Not a whole lot of wind to speak of, but there was plenty of heat and humidity. And the good news is this race started at 7 a.m., so really the heat and humidity wasn't until later on in the race. It was a much bigger factor in the criterium, which I will talk about later. So we pretty much brought the full squad out for Team Mike's Bikes. There were 6 of us. And who else is here? Well, there's just too many people to name. It's national championships after all. There's so many fast guys. And it's a weird thing we do here in the States. It's amateur national championships. So current pros are not eligible, but the field is still stacked with ex-pros. Hell, even an ex-pro national champion was here, at least one. On Mike's Bikes, we like to separate things into roles. So we had guys like Cooper, Andrew, and Brennan, who are going to be more protagonists throughout this race. They're going to be trying to get themselves into a breakaway. They're going to try to get themselves into a small group that they can win out of. Meanwhile, Sam and I, the sprinters on this team, our job was to sit in, chill. I covered a couple of attacks here and there, but largely it's what you see right now. It's just very straightforward. I mean, I'm doing a very high rate of speed here, over 30 miles an hour, but look at my heart rate, real low. Look at my power, real low. This is the power of teamwork. This is the power of drafting. Meanwhile, let's jump over to Brendan's camera, who was doing a ton of work early on in this race, but still has found himself in the lead breakaway group of about 14 or so on the last lap. And this was a bit of a weird situation because shortly before this, we were all kind of getting together and we were getting prepared for a field sprint because at this point, it looked like it was just going to come down to a pack sprint. So when this break rolled, which included Brennan and Cooper, by the way, we had 2 teammates in that group. This was great because, that took the pressure off us. We didn't have to try to control the race. We were able to continue sitting in, saving energy. But it did kind of set up this awkward situation where, as a team, we were half committing ourselves to a breakaway and half committing ourselves to a field sprint. And we didn't need 2 half measures. We needed 1 full measure. And that ended up working against us in the end. But before we go there, I wanted to highlight here the closing kilometers and the effort that Brennan and Cooper were doing off the front, trying to sneak away and win solo, because it is nothing short of remarkable what these 2 athletes are capable of. So as we approach this final corner, we're inside of 1 kilometer to go. It appears as though Brennan is setting himself up for a national championship, just being led out for some reason by this rider in front of him. But in reality, they're actually being caught from behind with just a few hundred meters to go. Here I am on Brennan's right, just totally scrambling to get back into position to try to uncork my sprint. And before I show how that plays out, I wanted to rewind a little bit and show you guys what was going on from my perspective. So Brennan's about 5 seconds up the road at this point, and this is what I was talking about earlier. This was the issue we were facing with 2 half measures. because there was such a mad dash to desperately chase down that late race breakaway, it was just total chaos in the final few kilometers. Think about it. There's all these riders, 50, 60, 70 of them, who don't have a teammate up the road, who aren't happy with the situation on the road, who are just desperately trying to jump across to that breakaway. And that made it difficult for us on Team Mike's bikes to organize our remaining riders and execute a structured lead out in the final few kilometers. And as a result, Sam and I are just out here battling. You can see Sam in my rear camera. This is a hard effort. See, I'm getting pushed wide out into the wind, doing 800 watts, which I don't want to be doing with 1 kilometer left to go, but we have to move up into that sweet spot behind the Best Buddies lead out because they still have some riders structured at the front. That's what's keeping this really fast. Because at this point, we've all but caught the remaining breakaway. We are approaching that final corner, and admittedly, I didn't even know that Sam was on my wheel. We were not the well-oiled machine on Team Mike's bikes that we usually are, and it's because of all the chaos in the final few kilometers here. Plus, I was just seeing cross-eyed here. Look, at 179 beats per minute, taking this final corner. The position's not bad, but it's not ideal. So you're going to see we're already opening up the sprint up to 1,000 watts, 1,100, 1,200 watts. This is about where we left off with Brennan's footage. You're going to see Brennan on the left here getting past. Now, I need to get up into that pocket because there's still control on the front by a couple more lead-out guys from Best Buddies. There it is right there. So I need to get on terms with these guys, squeezing through these gaps right here, out into the wind for a moment. But this is looking pretty good. Still 250 meters to go. I feel like I've already been sprinting for about 15 seconds. And this rider's fading right here. I come out into the wind after I maybe get a couple of seconds to draft. But look at the gap already. You have Best Buddies taking down a national championship up ahead of Ama from Legion. Getting past now because I am just really hurting from that long sprint. And then all of a sudden, Brennan. Where did Brennan come from? Well, we'll have to go back to Brennan's camera to figure it out. You remember this. Here's me opening my sprint after Brennan kind of led things out. And it looks like he's done here, right? Because he was in the breakaway, he was caught, and he was passed. And for a normal human being, this would be race over. But Brennan is not a normal human being. Here he is, over 1,000 watts. I don't know where he's finding this power and this speed, but he stands up, and he's like, nope, I'm going to stand on that podium. And he finds this gap, and then just comes around everybody, including me. And that's how you find a spot on the podium. We ended up going 5th and 6th. Which is a good result, don't get me wrong. But there were like 4 of us on Team Mike's bikes, all kind of in the mix in the final kilometer of this race, and we weren't working cohesively as a team. And it's frustrating because this is what we pride ourselves on Team Mike's bikes. Big race like this, unfortunately, we weren't able to put it together. I was really curious to see what would have happened if we just all would have worked for Brennan, for example. I mean, he was having just such a good day today. So anyway, excited to talk about the crit, bunch more national level events that we did this summer. So hang in there, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.